And how's it going, everybody? My name is Francisco from Tech Summit, and the reason why you're seeing me in a completely different place than where I usually am, or at the very least back at the old studio, is because tonight I'm going to be reviewing actually a very special product, one that I do plan on using for an upcoming podcast that we are going to have, and I am very proud to present it to you today. This is going to be the RODEcaster Pro, and yeah, let me just quickly go over what it can do. Let's go ahead and dive in. For today's video, I'm going to be using the Rode Pod mic as my main microphone. You can use pretty much any kind of microphone that you want with this. It doesn't have to be a Rode microphone by any means. However, if you do choose to use a Rode microphone with it, then it does actually have some pretty cool presets that you can use, and I think that is actually pretty cool. I do like what it does to the Rode Pod mic in order to customize it a little bit better to my voice, even though there isn't really quite as much control as I would like coming from this, and I will talk about that later on. However, this is still a pretty great deal, and I think that this is capable of quite a lot. This is going to be an audio interface slash mixer slash pretty much everything, and it's going to be a very good built-in all-in-one solution for running a podcast or live stream or anything like that. So this right here is actually capable of recording onto a micro SD card slot, and that is exactly what I'm doing. And this actually came bundled from B&H with a 32 gig micro SD card, and since this actually records in the WAV format, with that card it actually gives you around 4.5 hours of recording, which I think is actually pretty cool. And as you're going to see right here, you're going to get things like 4 separate microphone faders, and these are going to be used in order to adjust the volume for each one of these. And I do find these incredibly useful and just very satisfying to slide around with, and much more so than the Go XLR actually, which a lot of you might already be pretty familiar with. And you're going to be getting these buttons on the bottom as well, and these buttons over here are in charge of doing a variety of things. Like, this is just going to be a mute button for any given microphone, and if it lights up like this, that means that microphone is muted. I didn't mute myself because obviously I shall not be muted. However, this is what it looks like when it's muted and things of the like. And you're also going to get other faders over here, a total of 4 more faders, though these are meant to control completely different things, and these are actually meant to control things like a USB interface, in case you do have this connected to like some kind of USB device or anything like that. And this fader is just control the volume of your phone if you have this connected directly onto your phone, and if you're using Bluetooth instead, then this is what this fader is in charge of doing. And I think that is actually pretty cool that you have all this control and that you can use this with so many different things. And not to mention that you actually get this little fader over here, and this one over here is actually meant to adjust the volume of the samples and the sample pad, and I really like that, because these can definitely get pretty loud, especially if you do like to record and with your headphone volume all the way up, if you really want to be able to hear yourself and what kind of noise is actually going on around you. And now over here you're actually going to get a pretty cool touchscreen, and this is essentially how you're going to control the interface. It is going to be software, but you don't need a computer or anything like that in order to get the most out of this, as a matter of fact. So you can do things like, for example, you can just go over and click on number 1, and it's going to take you onto the settings for microphone number 1. You can do things like click on microphone over here, and it's going to ask you to choose between a variety of different microphones. But you can also pick default settings for other types of microphones in case the microphone that you do have isn't listed here. However, since I already have a Rode Pod mic, I already have the preset adjusted for it. But if you just had like a generic condenser microphone or a different dynamic microphone, and you could go ahead and plug that in. The only non-Rode microphone this appears to support by default is actually the Electro Voice RE20, which I'm impressed by. Though I do wish that it had more presets for the types of microphones. I think that would be pretty cool, but that is not my issue with this product by any means. And if you go back, you can actually go back into voice, for example. You can adjust the tone, and I would say that since my voice, it's more so on the mid to low frequencies, I actually keep it on the medium setting over here. Since I find that the Rode Pod mic already has a lot of emphasis on the highs, I definitely want to bring that down as much as possible, and you can also adjust the strength of that if you need to, or the strength of your voice. For example, if you have like somebody on the podcast that is soft-spoken or something like that, or that has a stronger voice, this is going to make sure that they still sound good, or that the audio is at the very least consistent. And just depending on what kind of speaker you have around, it's got those settings built in, and I think that that's actually pretty cool. And if you go back over here, you can actually go ahead and click on levels, and you can check out your level. You can increase it if you think that your microphone level is a little bit too low. I think it's perfect as it is, actually, because I'm not peaking at all, and the volume isn't too loud or anything like that. And it gives you the option to turn on phantom power if you want to as well. And this is what you would do if you would be using a condenser microphone or something of the like. But since we're using a dynamic microphone, we actually don't need this at all. So we can just go ahead and go back, and we can click on advanced. You can see things like you can activate a compressor, which I went ahead and turned off since I didn't like the way that it sounded with the compression. You have things like a high pass filter, which I immediately turned off. I did not like it. At the very least, it doesn't suit my voice at all. However, you can adjust these settings for all of these microphones. You can use up to 4 microphones with this, which is what I find so impressive about this device, and I think that it is actually really cool. You have things like a de-esser, which I did leave on. It should be eliminating a lot of the sibilances or S's in my voice and things like that, and why it shouldn't sound so SC, I guess, even though that is not a word. And it's actually got a noise gate built in, which I really love, and it's got ducking as well, if you're into that. And as for effects, you do actually have some options over here at the bottom, like you do have processing, aural exciter, and the big bottom, all of which are actually turned on by default, and when you use the default of the pod mic that comes on here already, you can actually go back and you can adjust every microphone individually as you would like, and you can even go into the USB settings and adjust the volume there, and into the smartphone, even though we don't have one plugged in, or into Bluetooth, and you can adjust the levels or any kind of presets there if you would like to. Like for example, if you need to use like music or speech, or if you just wanted to have somebody on a phone call as part of the podcast, then that is completely possible by just pressing the phone call button. You can get that sound quality that you're looking for, and I think that that's really cool. This is actually a very versatile mixer, and I really like it. On this side, you're going to get 4 headphone knobs, which is really nice. It means that every single person that is on the podcast can monitor the audio if they wanted to. Like, it's not just the host, which was an issue that I had with the Yamaha MG10XU. I really like that you're capable of doing that with this audio interface, and you've actually got a general speaker volume right over here. And I wanted to show you some of the pre-recorded samples on the sample pad, but before that, I just wanted to let you guys know that you can use 4 XLR microphones with this at the same time, and 4 headphones as well. They do have to be 1/4-inch entry, so do keep that into consideration. You're also going to find a micro SD card slot over on the front, and you should be getting the power connector over here, which is some kind of a barrel connection, and you're going to be getting a USB-C port, which is super important. I just want to take a moment to say that the responsiveness of the touchscreen here is honestly incredible. I can monitor the audio just fine through everything, and I actually have this recording a multi-track, even though it's not really necessary, just considering that there's only 1 speaker at the moment, but you can have that if you wanted it. But the touchscreen on this is so incredibly responsive, and you tap on anything and it immediately goes over to the next setting like this. No discussion around it, no fussing around it or anything like that. And I just love that you have all these shortcuts over here in case you just want to quickly adjust any settings on any of these other microphones, and not just on the first one. Like, you can click on number 3 and adjust it to fit whatever you need it to fit. As for the samples over here, you've actually got a variety of different samples, and I'm going to keep the volume low because these samples are actually pretty loud. However, built in, this is what you get. And that is going to be essentially it for the sample pad on the side. Now do remember that every single one of these is going to be fully customizable. So you can actually go into the settings over here, like into music, and you can go onto the sound bank over here, and this is going to be bank number 2. And you can just include any other kinds of pre-recorded sounds if you wanted a different theme song or things like that, or other types of sound effects. This can completely support it, and you can just include these here. And I don't believe that there is a limitation as for how many banks can utilize. It's just that you can only use 8 at a time. Now, one of the things that I actually don't really like about this thing so much, it's just that I don't really have that much control over the microphones here and that I want to use, or at the very least, I just don't really have that much EQ control per se. Like I can go directly into any microphone. Like let's say that I want to go into microphone number 2. I click on microphone. Let's say that I have a dynamic microphone. I can click on that, and it's just going to give me a generic setting per se. Like it's not going to do much more than that. Even if you go into advanced, you can only adjust a compressor, high pass filter, de-esser, and noise gate, and things like that. I can't really directly have an effect on how the low sounds or the mids or the highs. The sound just isn't really that customizable with this, which I was very surprised about. Other than that, honestly, I really don't have any other complaints. I think that this is a fantastic product. I think that honestly, it is worth the asking price. It is a lot of money. This thing costs $600. So this is definitely an investment. However, it lets you do so much that it is pretty hard to justify not having it here. So quite frankly, I have to say that I'm very happy with it. I think that this is an incredible product, and if you're looking to launch a podcast, or at the very least, I should say, if you're looking to really invest into your podcast, whether it's right now or in the future, this is going to be a product very much worth considering, specifically if you're already going to be using Rode microphones, so like the one that I'm using here, and we're going to be using 3 of these for the podcast. All of these I should be able to monitor just fine, and yeah, that's essentially it. I've actually been recording this entire review using the Rode PodMic, and I've been recording everything through it, and yeah, I look forward to hearing what it sounds like later. If you're interested in purchasing this product, then I'll be making sure to leave affiliate links down to Amazon in the description to both the Procaster and the Rode PodMic if I can find both of these. Both of these are going to be great options, in particular just a great combination, and if you use any of my links, I get a small commission that helps me run things just a little bit more smoothly. So if you were to use those, I would appreciate that quite a bit. And also don't forget that I like to stream every Friday and Saturday from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern time. I've been playing a lot of Dark Souls as of late, so if you want to see me get my butt kicked over there, then do make sure to stop by. I would love to see you over there. And if you have any kind of tech questions, I would also be more than happy to answer them. And do not forget to also follow me on Instagram and Twitter for more updates and things of the like, because those are also super important. Now with that said, this has been Francisco from Tech Summit. Thank you so much for watching, and I will be seeing you all later. Enjoy.